Hello, movie lovers. Today I'm going to continue on with my 1972 revisiting of the cinema of 1972. This month I'm focusing in on black cinema. And the movie I like to talk a little bit about is Don't Play Us Cheap. And this is uh, a film version of a musical directed by Melvin Van Peebles, with some of the most joyous songs I think you're ever going to experience in a musical. Very much surprised me, and this was the fourth movie in this box set that I purchased last November's Barnes and Noble Criterion sale of four films directed by Melvin Van Peebles, and I didn't talk about any of the films because, to be honest, I struggled a bit with engaging with the films, and I really don't like to talk about films that I have that problem engaging with, because I know that these films are beloved, and I see it more as my own fault for not being able to engage with them than it is the filmmakers. And the other three films in the set was the story of a 3-day pass, which Van Peebles made when he was an expat in Paris, and it was a very low budget, and it had, for the U.S. at least, a controversial theme of a black soldier going out on a 3-day pass with a white French woman. His next movie was Sweetback's Badass Song, often regarded as the godfather, the godfather of the blaxploitation movie, in which a black man rebels against the man he's had enough. And the man being the white man, and white police officers as the oppressive force. So it had a very liberating quality to it that had never really been expressed on the screen before, and then became a sort of a staple of the blaxploitation movie that came thereafter. And Van Peebles tried to work in a studio system with Columbia, making Watermelon Man with Godfrey Cambridge, who was a very popular stand-up comic, but also a very good actor. He was in Cotton Comes to Harlem. And this is a white man, Godfrey Cambridge in whiteface, waking up one morning and he has turned black. And it's a very funny situation, comic situation. And Estelle Parsons plays his wife in the movie. But to me, there's a booklet that comes with this set, and they all the essays in here will argue that Melvin Van Peebles was a genius in all his different artistic endeavors, and he had quite a few artistic endeavors. He wrote novels and musicals and made movies, and when he makes the movies, he does everything, and certainly his first film is influenced by the playfulness of the French New Wave, but I never felt that Van Peebles as a movie director was really, he just threw things out there, and even the performances, a lot of the performances in his movies seems a bit leaden, and some of that, you can attribute to the low-budget nature of the films. But even Watermelon Man, with the terrific comic situation, grew a little bit tedious, at least for me. Despite all these possibilities for laughter, I did laugh at the beginning part of it, which made Don't Play Us Cheap a big surprise for me, because I love this one, and mostly because if I wouldn't regard Van Peebles as a genius director, he comes close to that in his songwriting ability, and that just blew my mind that how good these songs were in this. And the story is pretty basic. It's two imps, IMPs, who are acolytes of the devil, and they want to get some cred with the devil, and so they come to Earth just on a spur of the moment urge, and they're going to break up a Saturday night party, a joyful Saturday night party, in which the niece it's her 20th birthday, I think, and this is her aunt, and they are these two devils take human form, and they do their best to make this party just an awful party, and people get not getting along with each other, and take away the joy of it, and they're just met at every turn. They get their comeuppance, and they get it about 10 times over. And the story, and there's an introduction by Van Peebles on all four of the movies, and the one for Don't Play Us Cheap, he describes how he came to the idea, where he was working in New York for a while and staying in an apartment, and an elderly black lady came by and asked him if she could get a glass of water for him. It was a hot day. He was a little taken back. He said, I was brought up to respect older people, so sure, come on in, have a glass of water. And he actually gave her some lemonade, and she was very appreciative. And then she came by a few days later and saw him and said, I'm having a party Saturday night for my niece. Would you like to come? And he agreed to come. And then he was astounded by this joy of life. Indefatigable. No matter what happens, we're going to be happy. We're going to get through it. I recognize, of course, many of you who know American sitcom television recognize Esther Rolle, and she was in Good Times. She had been in, she was a star of Good Times, and it was a spin-off from her role on Maude. And she's very good. I recognized another actress but I couldn't place her. It was Mabel King, and she played I think she played the Wicked Witch in The Wiz, which I've never seen, on both the Broadway play and the film. But I knew her from another sitcom, I think in the late 80s, What's Happening, where she played Mama. Very funny. And all the people, all the actors in here are just absolutely superb. I mean, they're so talented. And but I have to name one others, because I didn't know any of these other performers. But Joshi Armstead, I think was her name, and she sings probably the best song, and Moving On. I think the title is actually different, but Moving On was the chorus to it, or Move On. And she had been Ikette in Ike and Tina Turner's early days. They had their backup singers were the Ikettes. But she was an accomplished, successful songwriter. She sang backup to Bob Dylan and to Roberta Flack. And she's absolutely superb. But all the actors get their turn, to perform, and they do great background chorus to the different songs that are being sung. But again, Van Peebles does everything. He doesn't. He wrote it, directed it, he edited it. And again, in the editing, I think he works against the the performers, and that he's constantly zooming in. All this became a Broadway play. The claustrophobia of the really small set, which I guess was indicative of what small apartments in New York City would be. But it's very claustrophobic, because I think there's 7 or 8 actors on the stage at one time, and then there's about 6 more that arrive. So, and he further emphasizes the claustrophobia of it. He's constantly zooming in on body parts. He's doing superimpositions. He's cutting strange moments. He doesn't, when some of the actors are performing and they're dancing, he doesn't show the full figure. The Fred Astaire rule of when you film dancing. He breaks that, and he basically tries everything. And again, I think his directing kind of gets in the way of the performers in this film. But nevertheless, like I said before, the joy of life really comes through. And you probably wouldn't. I think a little bit in Watermelon Man you get that, but it did surprise me. And including in the supplements is a TV series, Black Journal, in which Van Peebles is interviewed, but he also has this full cast there sitting on the set, and they perform, I guess, maybe 4 different songs, and this is without Van Peebles directing style. You know, this is standard TV directing, and I just, I mean, I actually enjoyed the songs more in this TV version than I did in the movie. Well, I enjoyed them in both. And this wasn't Van Peebles' first Broadway musical. He also made Ain't Supposed to Die a Natural Death a year or 2 before, in which he won a bunch of awards, nominated for Tony Awards, as was Don't Play Us Cheap. And this was an era of resurgence of or a overflow of abundance of black plays that were on Broadway at the time. So overall, despite whatever I might feel about Van Peebles as a director, this is really a great musical performers. Just goosebumps when I heard some of these songs. Okay, thanks a lot for everybody who managed to listen to me. I do appreciate it. Comments are welcome. Take care.